Good morning. Thanks for being with me this morning. It's August 10 at my house, Wednesday. And what I'm going to talk about today may not sound that serious, but it's serious business. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to also tell you ahead of time that if you decide to do what I'm suggesting here, be ready for some resistance. This is important and it's not easy. I have a question for you. Am I the only one that buys cookbooks and thinks I'm going to change my ways in the kitchen and get all these new things going, and I just don't do it? I go back to my old stuff and then I get bored and then I just want to eat out. And am I the only one who knows how important it is that I start cooking more and more and knows the importance of that? I don't think so. I think we all know that deep down, and we're not satisfied with the way we eat and the money we spend eating out and what we're turning out in the kitchen. So I'm going to hopefully help you with that a little bit today. I bought a cookbook for $1. This is kind of my speed, and it looks like so far it's going to be a great one. And it's From Earth to Table by John Ash. And so I got all motivated as usual, and sometimes I find myself just kind of succumbing to the idea that our schedules are too wacky. I got all these other things that I need to do instead of cook, but I keep coming back through the years over and over that I don't really have much to do that's more important than cooking good meals. And I'll tell you why. It's a big deal. When you stop cooking, people don't stop eating. So they're eating on the run, they're eating in the car as they drive, they're eating at the desk in front of a screen, and it's the best opportunity that we have for truly connecting at the end of a busy day or the middle of a busy day or the beginning, lost. And I feel like we've kind of fallen asleep at the wheel with this. I hear about people that not just eat at their desk or on the run, but actually eat in bed while they're watching a movie and fall asleep in the crumbs. And I think, is that where we're headed? Is that next? Heaven forbid. But this is a big thing. And I'm going to tell you why. It's a big thing. It's a big dollar thing. It is a big family thing. It's a family unity thing. It's a big health thing. It is a big manners and etiquette thing. And most of all, it's a life-enhancing thing. And what I'm talking about, again, is good, solid, healthy, delicious, creatively prepared, lovingly served, home-cooked meals. So it's a dollar thing. If you just keep pitchers of tea in the fridge, an herbal, a fruity herbal, a black tea, a delicious black tea in the fridge, no sweeteners, please. I'm talking refreshment, not poor health. You've gone so far in enhancing your family's health and well-being, but you really have saved a lot of money. I've noticed that the poorest appearing people at least, have the most expensive food, the most costly on every level food. And the first order of business there, when I talk about truly costly food, is soft drinks. You can do your own study on what high fructose corn syrup is doing to you and what sugar is doing to you and how much is in a soft drink. I'll leave that up to you. Again, cooking at the table is a big thing. It is a big thing as far as etiquette. We find ourselves glomming food when we don't eat with other people. There's just something about sitting at the table that hopefully helps us to hold on to our manners a little bit. And if it doesn't, it should, and it can. We might need to just revisit that and help our table mates revisit those things. We might say, preface with prayer and thinking about it, we might say to one person, no being boring or exclusionary in your conversation. In other words, don't talk about something that nobody else gets. Maybe one person gets and the rest of us don't know what you're talking about. And don't gulp your food down and bolt. I would say no politics. That's kind of hard to do nowadays, but you could have, politics and digestion don't usually mix well. So you could have a rule that there's something that's troubling you, we can bring it up at the table and we will convene afterward for prayer to pray about those things. So just like you would if you had company, you don't just bolt from the table. You sit, you enjoy each other, and you stay a while. And that's the way our family meals can be. No rants, nothing that is unpleasant. If there's an issue with someone's manners, that can be dealt with before and after, but it really shouldn't be dealt with during the meal. I mean, unless it's just so far out of bounds that you can't ignore it. This is a big thing in that it is a health thing. I read about a chef who had put on some weight. He was traveling a lot, eating out a lot, and so he decided, I'm going to eat whatever I want as long as I cook it. If it's ice cream, I cook it. Of course, unlike the stuff that messes your liver up in ice cream that you get most of it from the store, his had real cream, it had organic ingredients, it had real vanilla beans, organic fruit, etc. So you could almost say it was a health food, maybe not quite. And so he lost 40 pounds in a few weeks. So it's a health thing, and also that it's soul nourishing, it's body nourishing, it's just healthier. Most of the food we cook at home, I'm talking cooking, I'm not talking sticking some 30 ingredient monstrosity in the microwave and calling that food. But most of what we cook, if we truly cook, it is very body nourishing. So it's a family unity thing, I think, is maybe the most important thing of all. It's a place where you can share thoughts and enjoy feasting together. And that should be the goal, that we truly sit and relax and share the time together and just cook together if possible. And absolutely clean together. The person who makes the sacrifice, and that's what gets in a lot of women's ways, is they don't want to do the cooking, then also all the cleaning, and they don't feel like they've done anything else, and it doesn't feel like they've been appreciated. So that's where everybody should be taught that this is a sacrifice. It is time consuming, and it should be appreciated. It should be thanked. It should be given thanks for. And it's also a great time to pray before each meal, to pray as a family, and then cleaning up together. And at our house, we've always rotated who was doing the dishes. But even if, one person's on the dishes, everybody else still helps clear the table, put things away, rinse their plate, etc. So it's not such a chore. And of course, I clean as I go when I'm cooking, so it's not so monstrous a chore. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, this being a thing, cooking at home is a big thing, is this is a life and home enhancing thing. It is a life enhancing thing. And, if you are a writer and you think, like I have thought, well, I just don't have time to cook, I can't write. I find that when I stop and cook, it takes me into a different creative mode, and it helps me actually write. Because, sometimes you just kind of get stuck and you need to make a change and get out of the chair. Cooking is a great thing to do in that break time. So, we need the soul nourishment, not just the food, but the soul nourishment of having a home that is filled with goodness, and the people knowing there's goodness cooking, and there's goodness already cooked, there's goodness in the fridge, and those smells are in the air. One time someone walked up to our house, and he worked for my husband, and he was here every day, and he said, "This place always smells like a restaurant." I just took that as such a compliment. I was just so pleased. I never really thought about those smells going outside and it being, a blessing even there. So the creative joys of cooking, that's how we need to look at it. And I like what Thomas More says in his book, The Re-Enchantment of Everyday Life. He is talking about, he really gets into this. I can't share it all, but just a few things that he says. He says, food is an implement of magic, and only the most cold-hearted rationalist could squeeze the juices of life out of it and make it bland. In a true sense, a cookbook is the best source of psychological advice, and the kitchen the first choice of room for a therapy of the world. And then I want to just talk a little bit about the shopping. I have let myself, these things all sort of downward spiral or upward spiral. As I've done less cooking, I've also begun to hate grocery shopping. Well, that kind of started with the mask thing and all that, but I just fell into this thing of about all of it. And so I have had to retrain myself to go about shopping, do my research, what's where, what's on sale, what I want to cook, do it early in the morning when I have energy, promise myself a cup of coffee and a croissant before I start or something to get back into the whole thing and make it as important as it is. So again, I'm reading from the Re-Enchantment of Everyday Life. He says, shopping can be one of the most rewarding soul activities in daily life, but it can also be done obsessively or mindlessly. Good shopping makes a soulful life. But good shopping means taking time and care, knowing well the varieties of food and their seasons, and buying whenever possible from people who have some imagination about food. Consumerism could be defined as disenchanted shopping, while in soulful shopping we are profoundly aware of the wealth of culture that surrounds food, its seasons, national varieties, natural characteristics, and recipes. And he goes on to talk about a good food market, and there's just so much rich in this book on this subject. And then I also want to share along the same lines from Jennifer Scott in At Home with Madame Chic, Jennifer L. Scott. And she says, dinner time, this marvelous grand finale to your day, is about connection. It is about ritual. It is about tradition. Dinner is about so much more than food. It is a great opportunity to bond with your family and create lasting memories. So this thing we bought into, that's woman's work, or we don't have time for it, it takes too much time or whatever. What else can we do that is this big of a deal as all these things that I just mentioned? What else can we do that enhances our life to this extent? And the thing about cooking is you don't have to really know a lot. You just start where you are, and every meal that you cook, you get a little better, you learn something. It's an adventure. And the thing is, I just want to finish up and encourage you that it's really important what you're saying about it. I have said a lot of things not good. One person said, you missed your calling, one of my breakfasts, and you should be in the restaurant business. And I said, I've been in the restaurant business for 30 years. I'm ready to do something else. And I have thought that. And then I've come back to this place of, no, there isn't anything else that you need to do that is so important that you should preclude cooking, because cooking is part of a balanced life. It will balance your other creative endeavors and just, make life worth living, having good meals to look forward to and people. And if you live alone, you still need to, even more, you need to make a good meal for yourself and sit down with yourself and light a candle and take your time and make it delicious. So let us badmouth cooking no more. E.W. Kenyon in The Hidden Man, E.W. Kenyon, such a good book. He says, right and wrong affirmations. We are continually affirming something, and that affirmation and the reactions of the affirmation upon our lives are sometimes very disastrous. You know the effect of the words of loved ones have upon you. Well, the effect of your own words upon you is just as strong. You continually say, well, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I haven't the strength to do it. And you feel your physical energy and your mental efficiency oozing away and leaving you weak and full of indecision and doubt, and your efficiency is gone just because of what you said. You have what you say. Look in Proverbs, read about the tongue if you don't believe me on that. So, let us badmouth again, cooking no more. And maybe even call it something else. If we don't like cooking, if that sounds dull, come up with something. I'm going to be a kitchen goddess or something like that. So let's say C is for cooking, conviviality, and contentment in a creative calling. So I have to go now. I have some creative cooking to do. I'm going to read some more from the Earth to the Table cookbook and get all inspired and try some new things. Thanks for being with me.